The second part of it, though, because now we're going beyond the data, we strengthen engagement with individual guests. So you're still not going to capture everyone's feedback, but guests who do fill out a survey, they are the ones who are saying, I want to keep this conversation going. Even though I'm not on property more, I have left, the visit is over, they are allowing you the opportunity to continue the discussion about what went well with their experience and what fell below their expectation. Tired of outdated systems holding your attraction back?
Gatemaster believes technology is part of the experience, transforming every touchpoint into an opportunity.
Imagine seamless online booking, effortless mobile ordering, and data-driven insights at your fingertips.
Ready to revolutionize your guest journey and maximize revenue?
Power your attraction with Gatemaster.
Discover the future at gatemaster.com.
Welcome to the Attraction Pros podcast, where we discuss the latest trends and challenges facing the attractions industry today.
We chat with some of the top leaders in the field and provide resources that will help develop your career in this great industry.
I am Josh Liebman. I am obsessed with the guest experience and helping attractions make that their top priority for success.
And I'm Matt Heller. I am passionate about organizational effectiveness, leadership development, and employee engagement.
Now sit upright, hold on tight, and get ready for the Attraction Pros podcast. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Fantastically.
Good. Glad to hear that. Question for you.
Yes.
Hear how fantastically it really is going. On a scale from 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend the Attraction Pros podcast to friends and family?
Does it have to stop at 10?
Yeah.
Okay, then 10.
If it didn't, what would it be?
Infinity.
I don't know how we can calculate that or aggregate that data.
No, I don't think so. But
aside from that, I think it's a good answer.
Thank you.
The reason I ask is because this is going to be a minisode, a very quick minisode about surveys and about automating surveys to your guests so that every single guest who visits your attraction, or at least we can say every single party, every single decision maker, every single email address who was on the transaction is given the opportunity to leave feedback about their experience. And this topic came up recently in a conversation I was having with a client who does surveys sporadically. They get a very low percentage of their overall attendance as far as a capture rate, really gaining data. And when talking about automating surveys, the response that I got was that their marketing team or whoever kind of oversees kind of their guest feedback collection doesn't believe that they're going to learn anything from the data if they were to automate surveys or doing anything beyond kind of the small amount of data collection that they get. And here's the thing. I believe that. I think that they probably are getting the knowledge that they need from even the small percentage of guests to be able to understand the perceptions and be able to make some decisions. However, when we talk about surveys and when we talk about collecting guest feedback, that's only one piece of it. The data is actually one of, I think, even a small piece of why we should do this.
So then what are those other pieces?
Well, I've got 6 other reasons that go into why you should automate surveys so that every single guest who visits has the opportunity to provide feedback. The first one does tie in with the data. It's about validating the assumptions because you probably can walk through your venue and say, here are some friction points in the guest experience, or here are some things that we need to enhance. But if you gain a large quantity of guests who are also saying the same thing, it helps to justify when you are bringing this into saying, hey, we need to invest in XYZ. And it's not just my hunch, but here's the data that validates the hunch and the assumption that I have. The second part of it, though, because now we're going beyond the data, we strengthen engagement with individual guests. So you're still not going to capture everyone's feedback, but guests who do fill out a survey, they are the ones who are saying, I want to keep this conversation going. Even though I'm not on property more, I have left, the visit is over, they are allowing you the opportunity to continue the discussion about what went well with their experience and what fell below their expectation. And so that opens up more ample room. There's, when we talk about data, we're talking about, quantitative metrics. This opens up that qualitative data where you can really understand how they feel about it and strengthen your relationship with the guest. The third part of it is specifically about recovering from service failures. The data that I've seen shows that less than 4% of people who experience an issue are going to actually complain about it. But if you prompt your guests for feedback, what you're doing is you're actually creating a buffer between what might have been a bad experience and a bad review. So now you've got the opportunity to recover from service failures, strengthen the engagement with the guests so it ties directly in with that last one, and be able to resolve the issue so that they are satisfied on the end of that. So ultimately, getting guest complaints from the surveys allows you to increase guest satisfaction. The fourth part is about optimizing your feedback loop. So when you conduct, if you get data sporadically and not very often, it's kind of hodgepodge. It neglects the everyday moments that really validate or debunk if you've got, solutions that you're testing or things that you're putting in place. But if surveys are automated, then you've got a continuous stream of data that's coming through. So as you're making changes, you're getting the real-time feedback, literally, from the guest on how well these changes are working. Number 5, boost online reviews. So when we think about your most satisfied guests, they should be an extension of your marketing, and you cannot assume that your promoters, those who, on the question that I asked earlier, those who would rank 9 or 10 on a 0 to 110 scale of how likely are you to recommend, we can't assume that they're going to share positive feedback or post online. But if you generate that through a survey, then you can segment your promoters to your review channels and help now get the data that you get from online reviews of boosting your search engine optimization, making it more visible on Google, getting a lot of tangible benefits, and influencing other guests, other potential guests to come visit you as well. And number 6, generate revenue. Yes, your survey collection, your feedback collection method should be a revenue generating source because you are strengthening the relationship with your guests. You're identifying your biggest promoters, your biggest advocates. Now you can offer them a bounce back discount, offer them to upgrade to membership or an annual pass or an exclusive offer, and something that if you price it right can be higher than your per cap. So it helps actually bring your numbers up altogether while the guest sees value in what you're offering to them. So it extends your marketing capabilities on a more intimate level.
Woo,
Done.
that was good. That was good. So I have one word that popped into my mind about halfway through, and the rest of your explanation reinforced this one particular word. And that word is relationship.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like everything that you're talking about is geared to build a relationship with your guest, right? Or the person that you have the email address for. When you're building that positive relationship, it's now less of a chore for that guest to maybe give you feedback, and it's more of part of a conversation that you're having versus a random email that is interrupting them or a text that's interrupting their day. Now it's more of, hey, we're having this conversation. So that's the word that kind of popped to my mind. And as you were continuing to go through that, you're just talking about how to strengthen these relationships and create deeper connections with your guests. And in my mind, like when I think about the things that you were talking about, I start to think, well, how the heck am I going to do all that? Do you know what I mean? Like that can be like overwhelming to someone who's never done that. Or you talk about automating surveys. Now, well, I got to have software and I got to do all these different things, right? Well, sure, there's some technical component to it. But I think for some people, it might help them to think about you're just building a relationship with people, right? That's what you want to do. And so, kind of like you were talking about in a previous episode, a vision, right, of the guest experience. If we have a vision of receiving this survey information, the survey feedback is that we just want to build relationships with people so that they will want to give us feedback, then the logistics kind of take care of themselves. You kind of figure out how do we do this now versus, oh, I got to get a survey out to people. I got to worry about the metrics and those type of things. So I just bring that up because that helps me think about it. So maybe it helps somebody else.
Well, you're building relationships at scale.
Yeah.
if you're seeing attendance in the hundreds of thousands or the millions, then how do we build relationships at scale? You automate a survey, and within that survey, there's the opportunity for the continued engagement.
Or you hire millions and millions of people.
Just hire millions of people. That's it. That's the solution.
So that, so you could
One,
have
there you go.
exactly. Well,
All right.
awesome. Well, thank you for sharing this framework with us and talking about surveys and automation and building relationships at scale. And for everybody out there who's watching and listening, just remember, we are all attraction pros.
And let us know if you have any feedback on the podcast.